Welcome into Buffalo Bills Weekly, your place for everything Bills related. He's Chris Brown. I'm Maddy Glab. The Bills finish out the regular season 12-5 as they improved in several areas in the second half of the season. As they head into the playoffs, we have a good idea of Buffalo's identity and what makes them so hard to beat. One of those areas, Buffalo's rushing offense. They've been dominant all season. They can beat defenses in multiple ways and have been such a cohesive unit. Best in the league, averaging 160 rushing yards per game. What has impressed you most about their ability to dominate?
Well, I just think they do a really good job of controlling the line of scrimmage. In most cases, there have been a couple of games where it's been harder to do that. The Philly game comes to mind. But I think James Cook also inspires those linemen because he does such a good job of maximizing every carry that he has. He'll make something out of nothing. He'll turn a 2-yard gain into a 4-yard gain. And I think it inspires the linemen to hold their blocks an extra half second or climb to that second level and make sure they hit their target square, because they know if they're all doing that, Cook has a chance to bust one all the way to their house.
One thing that's been so impressive to hear from the offensive linemen and running backs this season is just how much time they put into preparation for each game, making sure that the offensive line is on the same page as the running backs and vice versa. And you hear all the time from the offensive linemen, James Cook is so smart when it comes to his IQ and understanding what we're doing and the holes that he's going to see in a matchup.
He knows when to hit the gas because the hole is closing quickly. He knows when to be patient and give the hole an extra half second to open up. He just has that innate ability to know when to be patient, when to hit it, and it makes a difference when you look at his yards per carry average at the end of the game.
Yeah, the rushing title leader for the 2025 season. Buffalo's defense has changed their identity over the second half of the season. They've gone on attack mode, turned way more physical, and started to put it together from the back end to the front end. You really see their rushing coverage working together, forcing more takeaways. And since week 12, second best in the league, allowing just 251 total yards per game. Where have they grown the most?
Well, I think they've clamped down on the back end, to your point, and I'll just give you some numbers here to show you how improved they've been. They haven't allowed an opposing number one wideout to log more than 60 yards in a game since week 11. Tre'Davious White has the lowest completion percentage allowed in the league since week 6, 30%. And passer rating allowed, Christian Benford leads the league since week 6 with a figure of 41.4. I think that, coupled with their 3-3-5 nickel package, where they're using their linebackers as their speed rushers in the absence of Michael Hoyt and some others on the interior like Ed Oliver, has really forced opposing quarterbacks to make more ill-advised decisions. We're seeing a lot more incompletions and in some cases takeaways.
The 3-3-5 look is interesting because Sean McDermott has been known to spin the dial in different ways throughout seasons. But in this year, we've seen that look a lot more than other years. Why has it been so successful having those three linebackers on the field with Matt Milano's resurgence too?
Yeah, well, I think it's because you have veteran guys in those spots. I mean, Dorian Williams is in his 3rd season. He's been used as a blitzer in the past. So has Matt Milano, as we well know. And Shaq Thompson or Terrell Bernard, depending on who's in the lineup, have been effective in anchoring that down. But I think Dorian Williams and Matt Milano have been the key contributors in the pass rush, and they'll stunt them, swing them out wide, have them twist with the defensive ends, and it really causes a lot of confusion up front. And with their speed, there's no time for the offensive lineman to react and make blocks.
One cool thing about that look too is the fact that Buffalo's run defense has taken a step forward with having a 3-3-5 look. You think, oh, there's one less defensive lineman, it's going to be hard to stop the run. No, since week 12, top 10 in stopping the run as well. When you look at the way Buffalo finished their season on the road, 5-3, the Bills will be on the road in the playoffs, averaging 25 points per game on the road in the regular season compared to 31 points per game at home. Some of those disjointed performances by Buffalo from the offense to the defense came on the road. The good thing here, they did finish it out strong.
Yeah, some of those disjointed performances were earlier in the season. I think they locked it down towards the end. And you look at their last 2 road victories. They come back from a 21-point deficit in New England against what winds up being a 14-win team and win that game on the road with a high-flying offense in the second half. And then you look at the Cleveland game, going against a very good defense. I know Cleveland overall isn't good one-loss record-wise, but they have a very good defense that's in the top 10. They get out in front, and then I know it looked like they were hanging on with their fingernails, but this is what encourages me. They demonstrated in their last 2 road wins that they can win games in very different ways. Those were complete opposite kinds of games. They won both of them. That bodes well for the postseason.
If you want to stay alive in the playoffs, you're going to have to win in different ways. We got to take a break, but when we return, be ready for the best sound of the week. And Mitch Morse's Morse Code is coming up next.
I think that maybe there's an emphasis on each drive a little more, and just knowing that every single drive matters in the playoffs, especially when you're going against good teams and good quarterbacks like we're going against this week. Points are at a premium. Every team that we're playing here on out is a good team, and it's no different this week. They got a really good D-line. They're making a lot of plays in the back end. They've forced a lot of turnovers throughout the year, so making sure that we're doing everything in our power to make sure that each drive ends in a kick.
They always present a lot of challenges on defense. They do a good job. Their scheme has been very similar for a lot of years. So I say you know what you're going to get, but they do a really good job of disguising and changing the picture on quarterbacks, and they bring a lot of different pressures, and they play that game a little bit that you got to kind of figure out the chess match, and they do a nice job, and they present some challenges, and it's going to be the same way this week.
Very impressive, near perfect in their games, and the games haven't been close that they've played. They've been well ahead, and so it's led by him. He's been in command of what they do and knows where to go with the ball, and certainly can extend plays with his athleticism and his legs and his play strength. You see him, you watch him against some really good teams, and he's giving them fits.
Welcome into another episode of Morse Code, where Bills legend Mitch Morse breaks it down to us. The playoff edition, Mitch. The playoffs are finally here. Before we talk about this epic matchup that I know you are so excited about because it's your 2 former teams, we got to talk about the Bills sending it off at Highmark Stadium. The final game at Highmark Stadium happened against the Jets, and it was a beatdown by Buffalo's offense. A big victory. I know you were watching from home. How did Buffalo do in terms of sending it off the right way?
I mean, you could use whatever vocabulary word pops up in your minds. Storybook, epic, anything. But what it was it was a complete game, and it was beautiful. And I thought that PR teams, the team, the fans, everyone was on display, showing their best form to send that old biddy out on her way, right? That 53-year-old beautiful gal who's been doing it for a long time, who's hosted this team, who guys have come in and they've rented the jersey, rented the space, but had the opportunity to play in front of that crowd for that team in that jersey. It was a beautiful thing to watch, and you did find yourself swelling up a little bit with emotion because it was just a stunning performance and a stunning send-off for Highmark Stadium.
It was a thing of beauty. It was a real party over there, and it was such a party because the Bills didn't have to worry about this is for the AFC East, this is for the 1 seed. It was, we're already in the playoffs. Our seeding can move around a little bit, but not so much to the point where we have to play every single starter and we have to make sure we get a victory. So it was nice to have that exhale in that moment and kind of just be present for the game and for doing, like you said, the beautiful gal named Highmark Stadium, doing her some justice and sending her off well. But as we move on to the playoffs, the Bills are the 6th seed, and they're heading to the Jacksonville Jaguars to take them on. And Mitch, you know so much about this opponent because you played for the Jaguars last season. We know you were in Buffalo for several years of your NFL career. Why do you like this matchup?
Well, I think at this moment in time, right, you have the Jacksonville Jaguars, possibly the most complete football team in the NFL, on this 8-game win streak when they're beating teams by now like 19 points. So that's what they're averaging, beating teams. And then you have the Buffalo Bills, who found, like, especially, of course, they're playing some of their backups, but of course they had this huge spark and this unbelievable explosion of offense and great defense against the Jets. But you also felt like they were kind of finding their foothold in these big games, and they had a few big road games. and you don't know what's going to happen. And you always see Josh Allen play his best football in the playoffs. You have these two Titans who are coming together at 1 o'clock at Everbank Stadium in Duval County. And it really could be sparks, because this team is the Buffalo Bills are this team that's been to the playoffs a bunch. They're kind of this battle-tested playoff big game team. And then you have this team who's on the other end who feels slighted, and they feel like it's them versus the world, which kind of feels like Buffalo a few years ago. And they have this super talented roster and this young group of guys and this young group of coordinators. They have nothing to lose, and they feel like they're playing good football, and they're just going to come to a head. And I really don't know what's going to happen. But I think this could have been the most beautiful AFC championship game possible. They're going to treat it like it on both sides. I just think that without having a dog in the hunt, which I definitely do for both teams with guys, if I'm looking at this objectively as a fan, this is going to be one of the greatest football games of this season.
All right, one last quick one. What does this matchup come down to?
It comes down to turnovers. It's going to come down to turnovers. Both teams are not turning the ball over. Both teams pride themselves on getting the ball over, especially the Jags with Anthony Campanelli's defense. They lead the league with 22 interceptions. So it'll come down to offensive efficiency.
Yeah, 31 takeaways by the Jags. That's top 3 in the league. They also have a plus 13 turnover differential, which also ranks top 3. So valuing the football will be at the utmost importance for this one. Josh Allen is really good at taking care of the football in the playoffs. So this is one of the many reasons why this matchup is going to be a must-watch for NFL fans at large. Mitch, appreciate the time.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
All right, don't go anywhere, because coming up next, the latest stadium updates are coming your way.
Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly. Chris Brown now joined by Andy Major, our Senior Vice President of Venue Operations and Guest Experience, to kind of go over with us the last major snow removal effort in old Highmark Stadium right before the final regular season game. I guess we should start with the manpower involved. I mean, you had a lot of shovelers out there. Maybe just give us a sense as to the size of the operation that you had to undertake last weekend.
I mean, we have our normal snow removal partners, which are incredible, and put the call out for the shovelers because we absolutely needed them. All-time record, 1,000+ shovelers showed up on that Saturday, and we were able to shovel the entire stadium within 12 hours.
That's
it was
amazing.
Incredible, yeah.
What are we talking about in terms of tonnage with snow? Like, because people see, there's snow in the stadium, but there's only 3 or 4 inches all the way around. How much could that be? It's a lot of snow.
Yeah, I mean, we did get about 18 inches. We had 3 inches overnight on game night, which was a little bit of a tough thing, but enough snow to fill 2 of the field houses.
Oh, wow.
That's a good way to kind of explain it, but it was 40,000 plus tons of snow. Just a ginormous task for the operation. Our guys, between our grounds guys, Aaron Ramella, Chad Lurie, and Matt Hunter from our stadium ops team, they lead the charge on this project and with our partners, and it's just, they really got it done.
I know that you have a lot of partners involved, as you mentioned, a lot of different companies helping you with the snow removal. How do you coordinate all of that, knowing in this old stadium, there's 1 tunnel entrance and 1 tunnel exit? Like, how do you coordinate all of that?
Yeah, safety is at the forefront, Brownie, as you know. We've got a lot of great partners, ABM, Accent Stripe, Hannon, Pace, Gregson Clark, our Briners, Delaware North, Allied Security. It's a concerted effort. All these groups have been with us for many years, and we have a lot of experience doing it. But we have the traffic cops in the tunnel, and they're making sure the trucks are going up and down safely, and we're not running into each other,
Right.
and people are okay. So it works out fine.
I would imagine the task across the street next year for snow removal efforts will, 1, be a little bit more facilitated by the modern amenities of the new stadium, but it shouldn't be as heavy a lift going forward either with that canopy over most of the seats, right?
It shouldn't be.
Okay.
Yes, that's what the anticipation is. We definitely have been watching the new stadium during these snowfalls, and it does seem like less snow is falling in the new stadium, which is great, and it should be a lot less snow to remove in the new stadium. Certainly the heating system is going to help a lot, but there's a lot of strategic things with the new stadium. we're going to be taking trucks up and down elevators now with snow.
Oh, wow.
And there's some areas within the concourses and escalators that we have to keep an eye on. So it'll be a little bit more challenging, I think, learning the new stadium, but definitely we all think a little bit less snow for us to deal with.
Well, congrats to you and everybody involved on a job well done on the final one here at Highmark Stadium this past weekend.
Yeah, thanks, Brownie. Really appreciate it. And a shout out to Rhett Clark. He was our briner for many years, just retiring after 36 seasons. And he really came through for us all these years, and we're excited for his retirement.
All right, good luck across the street next season. That's Andy Major, Senior Vice President of Venue Operations and Guest Experience. We'll take a break here, but when we come back, it's time to take a look at the Bills-Jags wild card matchup in game preview. Stay right where you are.
Welcome back to Buffalo Bills Weekly. The playoffs are here. The Bills are heading to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars in the wild card round. Both teams are peaking at the right time. Jacksonville has been on an absolute heater, winning 8 straight, while the Bills have won their last 5 of 6. There's going to be a best-on-best matchup on Sunday when it comes to the run. Buffalo's offense loves them some smash-mouth football, leading the league, averaging 160 rushing yards per game. The running backs are versatile, and it fools defenses. When it comes to Jaguars defense, best against the run. Their front 7, they're huge, and they really know how to stop the run, allowing under 90 rushing yards a game, which is the lowest in the league. What does Buffalo have to do to find success on the ground?
Well, it's like Coach McDermott says all the time. It starts up front. You got to win at the line of scrimmage. And look, I think it's a very underrated front for Jacksonville because they don't have a lot of big names on the interior, but I think Devon Hamilton's a very underrated nose tackle. He just stands in there and grinds and let linebackers run free and hit. The 2 edge guys are a problem because it's hard to get the corner on them because they're so long and athletic.
Yeah.
Trayvon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen are both former top 10 picks, super athletic. And so I think James Cook, who likes to bend a lot of those runs back around the opposite side, I think might have a big, long defensive end standing there waiting for him. So he's really got to pick his creases effectively. And Oluokun, the middle linebacker, is a sideline-to-sideline player. I think they really are going to have to work to find a guy to target him at the second level to make sure he's covered up and not free to run and make tackles.
So with how the Jaguars defense plays, you might have to do a couple different things to find success on the ground when it comes to Buffalo's rushing offense. Valuing the football is going to be of the utmost importance on Sunday. It's a simple concept, but when you look at these two teams, it's really going to matter. The Jaguars are pretty clean in the way that they play. They limit turnovers and they know how to force them. 31 takeaways is the second most in the league. Buffalo has done a better job of forcing takeaways in the second half of the season. Since week 8, they forced to 15, been a lot more physical when it comes to doing so. So how do you see Buffalo finding opportunities to do so against an offense that's been so good as of late?
Yeah, you've just got to hope that when you are presented with an opportunity, like you have a right play call that forces Trevor Lawrence into an ill-advised decision, that you capitalize on that ball. If you're one of those guys on the back end, you've got to make the play. We know how turnovers can shift games, and knowing games are even tighter in the postseason, one turnover can sometimes mean the difference. Because look, the Jaguars not only lead the AFC in takeaways with 31, they led the league with interceptions in home games with 12 in 9 games. They turn the ball over. They'll actually give up yards and let a guy get more yards on a carry. They'll let a ball carrier go further in an effort to punch the ball out instead of tackling the guy on the ground. They'll give up more yards in favor of a turnover. The Bills ball carriers have to be aware of that strategy and just cover everything up as soon as defenders close in on them.
I mean, that strategy of letting a ball carrier go a couple extra yards, that's like football 301 and finding success doing so. And then also being able to send different pressures, which have allowed them to get interception after interception.
Yeah, and look, they've got a couple of guys nicked up on the back end. We'll see what the availability looks like come Sunday. And we know that Max Hairston probably unlikely to play for the Bills. So both secondaries may have some spare parts inserted. I'm curious to see how both offenses choose to attack in light of who's available for the game on Sunday.
2 wicked-armed quarterbacks are taking center stage on Sunday in Josh Allen and Trevor Lawrence. They've led top 10 offenses. Lawrence has grown in his confidence this year, and Allen just knows what to do in every single moment. The playoffs, they're a different beast, and Allen has more experience. He's about to play in his 14th playoff game, while Lawrence just his 3rd. Allen has 33 total touchdowns to just 4 interceptions in the postseason, while Lawrence has 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions. Allen's experience is definitely going to help the Bills on Sunday.
Yeah, you would think so. And I think the other thing to add in here is Liam Cohen is coaching in his first playoff game as a head coach. I know he's been to the postseason before with the Rams and the Bucks, but he's running the entire show in this playoff game for the first time in his career. And oh, by the way, he also calls the offensive plays. There's going to be a lot on his plate in an arena he has not really been in before as head coach.
You've got an experienced head coach in Sean McDermott, who's coached in plenty of playoff games, coaching against Liam Cohen, who's new to the playoffs when it comes to being a head coach. That's going to do it for us. We want to thank you for tuning into Buffalo Bills Weekly with a win. It'd be Buffalo's first playoff win on the road in the Sean McDermott and Josh Allen era. For Chris Brown, I'm Maddy Glab. We'll see you next time.